said, we want you to make sure you get a special focus on that, clarify, and make sure it's in detail, clarify what happened, and then show exactly where the money went and where it came from.
Follow on that is the 4 items that were listed in the last item as concern.
And the persons who helped them develop this proposal, I'm assuming were Mary and Joseph you and Michael. I mean, how did we arrive at this? That's what I need to know.
We arrived at this through a conference call that we had with the individual who will actually be in charge of doing the performance audit, where he asked a lot of questions, and we answered a lot of questions to make sure that he understood what the focus needed to be, and that's why under the review bond performance, you have those specific questions that are listed there. Like you said, these are key questions that you really need to dig into to be able to provide the board a clear answer to them.
Any other questions? Just under task 3, would it be possible to put on there the FFE as part of the review, or is that implied in the projects completed with the original budget?
I think that's why we looked at this projects completed within the original budget. And then bullet number 3, project expectations completed as originally envisioned. So that's going to cover all the little details of what was included, what was in the bond language, what was purchased, and did that match what we said we were going to do. The other thing I point out to you is, note in task 2, there will be a series of interviews where they're going to try to clarify any other issues related to the project. So you'll have another opportunity to clarify that within yourselves. I'm ready.
I move that we go ahead with the performance audit and price listed, understanding as part of it. If they come back and say that they need to adjust it to make sure we get a better answer, more thorough answer, that we can discuss add-ons as necessary to make sure that at the end of the day, we'll get a good product that is closer to 17 and 16.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to read into record an email I received this afternoon from Susan Stoops, who was going to be here by telephone tonight, but she is traveling and the connection was such that she didn't believe it would be very reliable. So she wanted to say, and I will read it word for word, I will not be dialing in for tomorrow night's meeting. Please give my apologies to the board and staff. The drive is quite long and I'm not sure that we can get through things in time. I want the board and community to know that with the change in the cost estimate for the performance audit, I am in favor of the district getting my audit. I regret that we have to spend the money, but I am confident that we will receive a clean audit. If I could have attended the meeting, I would have voted in favor. Thank you for sharing this with the board and community. And then I'll move on to the budget calendar.
Your packet is the proposed budget calendar. There are a number of districts throughout the state who have, starting as early, I think Eugene started as early as December, looking at projected budgets, projected state school funding, etc. We have all known throughout the state that the actual numbers for the budget will be released by the governor around the 1st of February, and that the actual state economic forecast will be released on the 15th of February. I did attend a conference where the state economist Paul Warner spoke here 2 weeks ago? Just last week. It feels like 2 weeks. Last week. And they did share that we should be expecting a budget recommendation from the governor, similar to what was just recently released, so we knew it was going to be somewhere around about $5.5 billion for state school funding, with some flexibility built in that for what they might do with other funds that are available, and how they might gain other funds by reorganizing priorities, shifting resources from one agency to the other, etc. In general, however, they said that the forecast is not going to show that there's been a significant turnaround in the economy. We may see a slight drop in state resources, but the general word has been that we shouldn't expect to see any impact for the rest of this school year budget, that we should remain whole for the rest of this year. I did not hear, and I know that at least two other of our team attended, I didn't hear anyone say that we should expect to see significant jumps in the proposed state funding for the next biennium. I didn't hear that either. So, I think it's now time, as soon as the numbers are out next week, we're in the process of doing some preliminary planning, as we always do during the month of January and February. Preliminary planning about overall costs, staffing, sort of projecting our costs for what we call a roll-up. That's what's it going to cost us for heat and lights next year, our insurance, our negotiated contractual benefits and salaries and all those things. All those things are being prepared now as just an initial inflation costs that we're facing. We also have put together the budget calendar where we have 6 formal meetings with the community scheduled for February 24th, March 15th, and April 12th for community forums. Those are all scheduled to be at different spots in our community, at different schools. IES, for the IES area, that will be on the 24th. For the MES area, March 15th, and for Talmadge area on April 12th. We also have formal budget committee meetings on May 9th, May 23, and June 6th. In addition to those meetings, we'll be having meetings at each of the school buildings with staff. In your packet, I asked board members to please identify at least 2 board members who attend each of the staff meetings, each of the community forums, and that all board members make it a priority to be at each of the 3 public meetings as the formal budget committee meetings as well. So what you have in your packet is a series of 12 meetings that will be asking you to sit and listen to staff, sit and listen to community members, and I'll have our professional staff to try to answer questions. The difficulty with the budget preparation is going to be this. At the same time, we're trying to build preliminary budgets. And we already have some preliminary projections about how much money we're going to be short. I've been sharing that for a while with the board for months now. I think it's down to about $1.2 million that we project as being short, based on a $5.5 billion state school fund. If the shortfall is greater, then our shortfall will be greater. If somehow they shift priorities at the state level, our shortfall will be less. But I think that we need to, as we're holding community forums and listen to folks and asking them what they think, asking staff what they think, as we ask our principals to help develop a preliminary recommendation to come to the board meeting, we need to understand it may change significantly between that first community meetings and the actual budget meetings with the board in May in our budget adoption. If you've been watching the OSBA news feeds, you notice, I'm sure you've noticed that throughout the entire state, all districts are struggling with the same thing. They're starting budget discussions, but they all realize they're not going to be able to make any formal final decisions until at least the May forecast, because that traditionally in our school funding and budgeting process, that's when the more solid numbers come out, is the May forecast. So, questions?
Just a clarification on the February 24th CHS. What time is that? Is that AM or PM?
I'm sorry, it's AM.
I have the same question. There's a meeting at IES that night.
Well, the suggestion I had in your packet was is that I was asking each school board member that you at least make the buddy school that you've been assigned to, at least make that one. If you can make more of the other meetings, that would be great. But I'd like to have at least 2 board members at each of these meetings, so you can hear firsthand what people's concerns are, their suggestions. This is probably the most difficult budgeting session that we've faced since I've been here.
What time is it today?
7:30.
So to clarify, we'd like all board members at the informational meetings, the one in February, one in March, and one in April. And then you at your buddy school plus and one other board member at these other informational meetings with staff. And what I guess I would just say is plan on doing your school and then giving Julie your availability for the other schools that you'd like to attend.
And if we have nothing else to do with the time, we can attend all of them, right? I mean, certainly if you're, yeah.
We just need to make sure we don't have 4. And if you do want to have a forum, you certainly can do that. We just have to announce it, use the public notification process that we're going to have a forum of the board, as in it becomes a formal meeting of the board. But you can do that with all of you. If you all want to come to all of them, I'll be happy to have you.
I got a job.
7:30 in the morning sounds boring.
3 of them.
So we need a motion to approve this budget calendar. Are there any other questions before we do so?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion at this time? Okay, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you. And we'll move on to postponement.
The postponement of adoption is closely related to the first order of business under the work session, which is the approval of Division 22 form. Each year we do a review of the state standards, which are called Division 22 standards. As part of that review, we clearly know that we haven't had an adoption phase for books and buying new books for a couple of years now due to the budgets. We need to send in a notice to the state that when budget's approved, we will look at adoption second language materials and updating those. We had the same issue with math last year. We did not adopt a new adoption math, and I don't see around the state that most districts are in a financial situation right now where they can make those sort of purchases. Some are, but the majority are in the same situation. So
What's the cost of this? Like, what don't we have to be able to?
a budget adoption, depending on what adoption it is. For instance, if you're doing math, K through 12, it's a large purchase. I'm going to ask Mary if you can help me out here. I think when we did our last adoption, it was language arts, and it cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000.
Minimally. Yeah, by the time we're all done, it's probably,
For this particular one, is it Spanish, Japanese, what's the cost?
we haven't even approached that cost. I don't think it would be significant,
But it would be a cost that we didn't budget.
yeah, most,
I don't,
You know, one of the figures, so when we send the bill to the state,
so,
yeah, and right now textbooks are running well up to $125 a piece. And I guess I'd have to ask the high school staff if they're familiar with how many kids are enrolled in these 2 programs right